Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have a little video for you about how to have a good coin show. As someone who is going to go to a coin show and enjoy the surroundings and maybe look at a bunch of coins, and I've had a few of you ask, so I'm going to talk about this again a little bit. How do you go as a consumer, as a collector, as a buyer, and have a good coin show? And so this is, of course, always going to be about setting expectations. What do you consider to be a good coin show? Are you only successful if you buy a coin or more? This is something you have to think about ahead of time, because if you don't, if you go into it thinking, oh man, I have to buy a coin, I have to buy a coin, and you don't buy a coin, then you can be really, really disappointed, right? You're gonna think the show sucked and I'm never going back. Well, okay, you have to understand, depending on what's on your want list, sometimes you're not going to find the coins you want at the price point you want. And you've got to be ready for that disappointment. You have to set expectations at a level where you realize, sometimes I go to a coin show and I don't buy anything. And this is something that's hard for all of us to do. You know, maybe you just go ahead and enter the raffle and win there. And, you know, I can teach you some other time how to win in a raffle, but that's another subject. So have expectations that are not too high for yourself. I know that sounds odd, but you want to make sure that that they're set in a proper way so that you're not disappointed every time you go to a show. Second thing is, of course, I already mentioned your want list. Well, now here's one of the real keys to having a successful show, is to know exactly what it is that you're looking for, right? So your want list needs to be very specific. You need to know what you're looking for, but also you need to understand what grade range you want them in, whatever the coins are, and what price points are also accessible to you. You know, they're within your budget, but also that combination of things, the grade and the price point together. So you want to be able to understand on the coins you're looking for, if it's a MS65 Morgan that's a common date, you want to make sure you realize that, hey, those trade for about $200 right now, so I'm not going to look for them in the $100 range, because that's just not going to actually satisfy in the marketplace, right? So you have to have that understanding of, okay, I'm looking for this coin, and I know that it's going to be in the $150 to $250 price range. You give yourself a range and a price point. Also, make sure you know what coins you don't like. What I mean by that is, if you only want blast white coins, and you find a coin that kind of fits what you're doing, it has the price point and the grade, and yet it's not blast white, later you're going to regret that purchase, right? So don't buy something just to check a box. Only buy it if it actually fits into what you're doing. If you're only buying PCGS coins and you find the coin you want in an NGC holder and say, oh, I'll cross it over later, don't do it. Do not do that. You're going to be sorry later that you did, right? So those are a couple things to understand about a coin show. Now, knowing the coins is one thing, but knowing the marketplace is another. In other words, you know, I think this is one of the broader questions that someone had for me was, well, how do you go to a show? What do you do? Well, the first thing that happens usually is when you come up, you pay and get in, but you usually register. Usually that'll get you on an email list with whoever's running the coin show, so they'll keep in touch with you about the next coin show. But really, you want to have an idea of what the floor plan is. And now, not all shows have this laid out ahead of time. But a lot of shows, if you're at the tables or you find the person who's kind of running the show, you can say, hey, I really want world coins. What section should I look in? Lots of times at a coin show, they will put the world coin dealers in a certain area. Usually it's in the back by the coffee. And oftentimes, you know, if you have just specific paper money dealers, sometimes those people will have, you know, they try to group them by type, right? These people are doing bullion, these people do world coins, these people do paper money, and these are generalists. So they kind of try to do that. At the Vegas show I went to, they had all the guys that do Instagram and do the poured silver bars were all kind of in one alley, one row, which makes sense, really, in a lot of ways. It really creates kind of a nice, easy pathway for you to be able to look at as a collector and say, okay, I'm going to focus over here on this part of the show. Because what happens is, at a larger show where you've got, you know, 60 or 70 dealers, 100 dealers, it can really be overwhelming, and you don't want to spend too much time at tables you know you can't find what you're looking for. You know, I can encourage people to go to shows just to look around and have a good time and see lots of coins. But when you're there to buy something, you really want to try to narrow in on the material that you're looking for. So this gets me to my next point, which is to say you need to be engaging. And by that, I don't mean that you need to like woo everybody in the room, but what I mean is when you're looking at a coin table and talking to a dealer, you need to talk to them and say, hey, if you don't see what you're looking for, tell them like, hey, I'm looking for an '09 SVDB penny. Do you happen to have one that's not out, or am I not seeing it? Because lots of times when you look at a table, you'll see all kinds of stuff. You might miss a coin right in front of you, so ask them. Secondly, if they don't have what you're looking for, ask them who to deal with, right? Say, do you know anyone at the show who has what I'm looking for? You know, and so if you're looking for like, you know, coins from Guatemala, and you can ask somebody, they may know, but especially if they're already dealing in foreign coins, they may know, oh yeah, Billy Job Thornton over there. Wait, is that a real name? I think I just named an actor. Man, Billy Joe Bob. Anyways, over in the corner, that guy, he had some world coins. I don't know if he has any Guatemalan, but go check with him. Most coin dealers, if they know a few guys in the show, know who has or who doesn't have certain items you're looking for. So if you're looking for Kamems, you know, older US Kamems, and you talk to someone at the show, they may say, oh yeah, I don't have that, but Steve over there has got that. Go check out Steve's table, right? And so dealers can oftentimes help you kind of walk through the show and you know, help you find what you're looking for, right? The other thing to be aware of is probably payment type. So depending on the size of show you go to and kind of what you're looking at, you're probably going to have some cash with you to buy things. This is just so like especially a smaller club show, you're probably dealing with people who are club members or who, you know, maybe they're more of a flea market kind of vendor. They're just a best pocket dealer maybe. So they might not have a payment system. They might not have a swipe or stripe or a square or whatever it is. You know, they might not have any of those things. So, you know, that'll be a cash is king kind of situation. Now, if you're dealing with a larger company and you go to a show and you got these guys that have like $10,000 coins, they may take your check, if you have checks, like this is how old school I am, and then just ship the item to you later after the check clears. That's something that can happen. But if you want cash and carry, you kind of have to have cash for something like that, right? Now, at a lot of the larger shows, you will see companies that have the Square app or Stripe or whatever it is, or Apple Pay, and they can process your payment there. Depending on the type of item it is, your payment process may be a little bit more expensive, you know, because of the costs involved. On a more expensive coin, where oftentimes a dealer may have a smaller margin, you may see a 2 or 3% increase in the price of an item because you're using plastic instead of cash or check. All right. So you know, first and foremost, to have a good show, collector, know thyself, know what you're looking for, and then after that, the tricky part is trying to find the stuff you like. One more thing I'll mention is you go to a show, depending on the size. You know, if you're at a show where there's a couple hundred dealers or 50 dealers or something like that, generally you can walk the room once or twice, make some notes, not just mental notes, like have a piece of paper and a pen, and just jot down some notes, figure out the layout of the room. Okay, over in this corner, this guy had right? You know, kind of know that a little bit. So the hard thing is if you go to like an ANA show and there's like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 tables, a billion, however many tables they have, that's a harder situation for you to really map out what you're looking for. But at a medium to smaller show, I would actually say go ahead and walk the showroom. You go an outer loop and then go up and down the rows and make sure you know kind of where you're going, and then that way you have an idea for what's there. This happens sometimes, like I said, when you're asking for an overlay of the showroom. They might not have it for you. Either way, you're probably going to want to walk the room once or twice before you actually start to stop at tables and engage with people. So, all right, I hope that helps. I hope when you go to a show you have a good time. I hope you learn, and you know, and hopefully you bring home a little treasure that you like. At the end of the day, remember, you do not have to buy something at a coin show for it to be a successful and fun coin show. And if you're having a hard time and you went and you didn't find what you want, go buy a coin for a kid. I'm serious. Like, spend 10 bucks on like a little cheap slap coin for a kid, or some world coins for a kid or whatever, and give it to somebody you know, okay? Because then the show is not wasted if you're doing something like that. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.